Tchadas, as a fisherman, did that give you chills?
No, it didn't. Oh, God. I mean, maybe chills of uncomfortableness. Like, I'm like, ooh. Like, if that's the chill you're asking about, then 100%.
My hometown messed me up. She won big on a Timmy's Cup. I heard about it at the Rotary Club. That's so Canardian. Still don't stop.
This is Canardian, the podcast where we gossip about Canadian hometowns. I'm Katie Lohr, author of Pod the North, the newsletter for Canadian podcasters, and I am joined by Tchadas Leo, acclaimed multimedia journalist and host and creator of Our Native Land, the podcast and video series exploring all things Indigenous and First Nations, from cuisine and culture to heritage and more. Tchadas, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to do this. I've been waiting a long time to hang out with you here in the podverse and have some fun. This is definitely will be a first for me in this type of fun kind of podcast that I don't normally do. Not that the other ones aren't fun. God. I'm just saying it's different.
I'm excited to give you this opportunity. I mean, I have one story to share with you that's a pretty gnarly, no pun intended, but we'll get to that in a bit. It is serious, but it's not like, I don't think it's the thing you normally cover. I'll leave it at that.
I mean, there's black humor out there, and I have some of it. Like we can find the light in the darkness. That's okay.
Excellent. I'm excited. Okay, Tchadas, where is your hometown, and how would you describe the vibe of it in 5 words or less?
Okay. My hometown is Campbell River, British Columbia, and that's located on Vancouver Island. Just a short, about hour and 40 to 2 hour ferry ride from Vancouver, just to give people spatial orientation where my hometown is. And in 5 words, I would probably go something like fishing friendly former logging town.
Okay, that's great.
And that's not to be uncomplimentary. There's amazing people, but 5 words, that's like the first thing that comes.
Okay, I love that. That was perfect, and it makes me feel a lot better about all the things that I have prepared for our conversation. Because not being from these towns, I find everything from the internet and reading things and all sorts of stuff. And then I'm like, this is the perception that I have of this town now. Mm-hmm. I could put all this together and I could be completely wrong. And that is something I'm walking into every single time I do this show.
To make you feel better, I haven't lived in Campbell River for... I left when I was 18 and I'm 33 now. So we're talking at least 15 plus years that I haven't lived there. Ooh. So I feel a little rusty that I might not know or be able to, get the true or falses right here. But so you're not alone. Although I grew up there, it's been a while since I've spent more than a night there once in a blue moon for work or anything. So.
Okay, great. So you will not be fact-checking me this entire time.
No. Somebody will be fact-checking me if I get it wrong. So,
and believe me, people are definitely fact-checking me. That's for sure. Okay, here is my tourism board pitch to you, describing Campbell River. Okay, Campbell River, BC. The official city motto is "Enriched by Land and Sea." It was incorporated as a city in 2005, and the population is somewhere around 35,000 people. And like the motto says, Campbell River is a seaside city that's often been referred to as the fishing capital of the world. And that's because it's known for the Tyee Salmon, which is a special and seemingly elusive breed of salmon that weighs over 30 pounds. More on this to come. But it's also home to the Big Rock, which is a 10-meter tall glacial erratic, and the beautiful historic Pier Street. Campbell River is located on the east coast of Vancouver Island, as you mentioned, and the original keepers of the land being 2 First Nations, the Weewakam and the Weewakay. And because it's the center of the universe, Campbell River is about a 45-hour drive from Toronto, but you definitely need a passport for that because you're driving the entire thing through the United States. Other than that, Campbell River, from my perspective, is just fishing, and more fishing. Tchadas, what is going through your mind right now?
Yeah, going through my mind, a lot of things come to mind. You're definitely right. There is some strong Indigenous roots there. between the Wiwaka and the Wewakam. There's other, tribes there as well too that have history of being in that area as well too. That being said, there is a lot of water, a lot of fishing. The Tyee fishing specifically, you mentioned that, and you'll probably maybe. I don't want to ruin it, but like, just it's so anal, to be honest, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like, it's very. Everything has to be just so. It's like if you were to give a sport like a huge dosage of like a pill of OCD and shove it down the people's throats that are doing it, that's what it is.
I have a feeling you may be an expert because I know you have a little bit of fishing experience in your bones. So we will get to that too.
Okay.
But
perfect.
First, let's unpack the vibe of Campbell River.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, it looks sort of like a coastal, outdoorsy person's paradise. In 2007, it was actually named one of the top 5 quality of life destinations in North America by Foreign Direct Investment magazine. So I don't know how much that means. But it was because it offered sort of a balance of lifestyle and nature. How would you describe the ecosystem that is Campbell River?
Wow. It is so built around the ocean, the Georgia Strait or the Salish Sea, that area, Dodds Narrows, like everything is built around the water. It's so, and that's what makes it beautiful. The ecosystem is so precious with not only Tyees, but, all types of salmon, killer whales running through the area pretty regularly, blue humpback whales. There's so much wildlife there. And that's what brings people there too. A lot of tourists really want to go see that type of nature in a small town. The vibe is so not. I wouldn't call it sleepy because people say sleepy small town. It's like there's stuff going on, but it's not. It's not in your face. It's like just the right amount of stuff, right amount of activities. You can still go to the theater, and I'll be specific. Like performance theater, the movie theater just shut down. You definitely want to be an outdoor person for Campbell River. Like if you're just like a homebody, then you might as well just live in a metropolis area in a condo and call it a day. Like Campbell River has such, again, the ecosystem. You got the Elk Falls Trail. You have the Seawalk along the entire length from almost one end of town to the other. You hop in your car, drive, a good, 45 minutes and you're up at Mount Washington and you can hit the ski, hit the slopes and go from there. Somebody's going to fact check me that it probably takes longer to drive there, but I think it's 45 minutes. I haven't done it since I was a teenager, but it's just like the diversity. You can be skiing one moment, or you could be out on the water fishing, or you could be laying on the beach in the summertime, or you could be diving into one of the rivers that we have that are like these beautiful clear water kind of holes that you can like kind of sit in and soak up some sun and some water at the same time. So it's diverse, it's rich, and yeah, you definitely got to be an outdoor person to really truly encapsulate what Campbell River is and the surrounding communities too.
Of all the examples you just shared, the key theme there was you're going to be outside the whole time. Okay, I think I have the ultimate hard question for you. When I wrote it, I was like, this is going to be bold to ask. But
let's do it.
Can you describe the average Campbell River local?
Yeah, if I was to go back and like I'm going to hang out with some people that I grew up from high school with that maybe I haven't connected with in a while, I would say Campbell River respectively has a friendly vibe if you get to know a person. So friendly, but with a step of caution, and then over time, they might be the best person in the world you ever meet. I know Campbell River has there's a lot of people that like country music out there. I know there's a couple country music stations, including the one from my nation, and it does extremely well. So country loving would probably be another word I would use.
Okay.
Thank God you're not telling me to do it in 5. I'm trying to be so careful about this. And I would say creative, because again, it's a small town, 35,000 people, approximately 38. And the creativity and what you can do, I think really brings out the best in people. It's a lot of creative, like, why don't we do something outdoors, but it's cold, so let's modify it so we can still do it. I think there's creativity, country loving, nice people if you get to know them. And probably complain about like the main street on Dogwood, how it's like so slow to get from one end to the other town, so spread out. And I remember complaining like that too. Just we like to complain about how long Dogwood is, or the Island Highway, even though it's a small town. It's stretched out like one of those pieces, like a piece of Play-Doh, and then you plop it down, and that's the city, right?
Oh, that's funny.
I think I'm safe to say all those things.
I think you said some very valid things. So here's the thing. Digging through the internet, I get the sense, this is what I got, is that I call it like a very introverted city. So you said like nice people, but might take a while to get to know them. Like, I get the vibe that it's almost like a Finnish way of living, where it's like, why talk when there's nothing really important to talk about? Or like, I do a solitary hike on Saturday mornings and forest bathe, and I'm happy doing that solo. Like, I feel like it's just very introverted. People are doing outdoor things and not really getting up to like anything too dramatic.
Yeah, and that's completely true, because when I go for like a walk around Elk Falls, I usually do it with a friend or family member when I do go there, but a lot of people are walking by themselves. So that's like, and I was there recently, and they're walking by themselves, and that's just what they chose. And maybe they get the occasional like acknowledgement when you pass somebody on the trail, like, I'm with people, I'm just hanging out with them for 1 second and then tell them to peace out, but yeah, introverted is good. Yeah. Cause I do find that sometimes I go to Campbell River and I might sit at the bar and I will have like excellent engaging conversations with people. And other times, nobody wants to talk or be friends, but I also have enough friends that I'm so busy on my laptop too that I don't mind. So I'm not criticizing it. It's just how it is.
Why try to make new friends when you've already got enough?
Exactly. And
why
it's an
do
hour
small talk when it's not necessary?
Exactly. I live 2 hour and 2.5 hours away now. I was like, that's too long of a distance to be friends.
So your sentiments are basically the same as what Reddit says. So I found a subreddit called Moving to CR. Somebody said, there's lots to do if you're an outdoorsy person and keep to yourself. It is not ideal for making friends. Everyone is super cliquey. As you've said, you have your own little clique. You're not making any new friends anytime soon. It's just the Campbell River inside your bones.
Yeah, it is. And I was just there a few weeks ago, and obviously I was in my clique in my community, and I felt very warm, but like that's my community. And then, we go out for dinner, and everybody, just feels like a little colder. Reddit isn't completely out to lunch on that one. I'd say that.
Yeah. This is my favorite one. It said, CR is close to the ocean, stupid close. Example, you can dinner and beach fire in minutes. CR is has easy access to rivers, lakes, mountains, skiing, as you've mentioned. Mm-hmm. But if you're not into hiking, biking, hunting, camping, kayaking, etc., CR will be a lot slower for you. Restaurants are meh. Nightlife is zero. Downtown is nothing special. Events are close to non-existent. But man, if you love the outdoors, there is no place better. I came back here after living down island 20 years later. I'm loving it more here each day. Never bored. I mean, CR sucks. Tell your friends, winky face. So if you like to be an introvert and you don't want to talk to people, come here. Tchadas, I think it's time we talk about fishing. We have to. We can't not talk about fishing.
We absolutely have to.
Yeah. So I know that you actually like to go on salmon fishing expeditions. Mm-hmm. So talk to me a little bit about the culture around fishing in Campbell River. Mm-hmm. Like, is it very bro-y? Like, tell me about, what are the vibes?
Yeah. I think it has 3 different vibes. And before we get into it, I don't know if you noticed or if you're going to bring it up later, like, yes, Campbell River is the salmon capital of the world, but Port Alberni, which is also on Vancouver Island, also claims to be the salmon capital of the world.
I did not know this.
And that creates some contentious, no, we are kind of vibe, which I'm sure people that are listening to this from Campbell River are going to be like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. But so anyways, just going to preface that. But yeah, I would say the first vibe is obviously the bro-y intensity. Like, I want to go out. I got to get it. I'm like invested, whether they've paid for a charter or they've come from like Victoria with their, $300,000 boat, stainless steel boat, to pop in the water. Like, we're here for 2 days and we're here for a reason and we're having fun. But if we don't catch fish, we're not having fun. I've been on those trips. They're great. They're fine, but also not my vibe. But it is something I think in Campbell River, people really go there for that reason, because it's so good. It's so vibrant, and it is plentiful when the run is good and when there's less restrictions to fish. So that's the first vibe. And then there's also like the tourist vibe of fishing, which is, you mentioned the pier, which is, you don't need a boat. You could just get a fishing rod and go to the pier, get an ice cream, and then put your rod down, and you can catch a salmon. Like, you can catch.
That's my kind of fishing.
Yeah, that's your kind of fishing, right? So you can catch dinner without investing, the $20,000-$30,000 to get a boat, or need a friend who has a boat who's not going to charge you gas money. But bust out another 1,000, as people say. But yeah, so that's the other vibe, is the tourists, or like even the locals, just like, I can just go fish off the pier. I'm far enough off the shore that I can get nice and deep and fish there. And killer whales come by there too, and you can see killer whales and seals and so much wildlife off that pier as well too. So that would be the vibe. And the third vibe would be what I like, which is just going out on a small fishing boat, just going somewhere close off the shore and seeing what you can get and having a good time. And that's what me and my dad like to do, what I've done with other friends as well too. So I think those are the three vibes that I'm aware of. I don't know if you got a favorite.
Fishing, tourist ice cream fishing, and good old family fun fishing.
Good old family fun fishing. And you know what? Not a vibe, but another way of fishing, which can be a vibe in itself, is the Campbell River itself. When it comes, there's where the kind of rush before it gets to the Georgia Strait and it changes from freshwater to saltwater. Tons of fly fishing, like one of the best fly fishing locations that you could find on Vancouver Island and BC. There's a lot of fly fish. I've seen like 60, from like one end to the other. And they don't get their lines caught. They're very good. But yeah, there's a lot of fly fishermen there too, and fisherwomen there.
That's cool. Yeah. So yeah, Campbell River has been long known to be a hotspot for salmon runs. And this is like pre-colonization. This has been like a hotspot for time immemorial. Colonizers first landed in the area in 1792, and within 100 years, it exploded in popularity. And people were coming from all around the world to go fishing in Campbell River. And that's essentially what made Campbell River grow as a city and a town. The first business to be established in Campbell River was Willow's Hotel. And the city sort of grew around accommodating visitors. But then also there was like a logging industry that started to come up. And so that was kind of like the main stuff going on there. But the main event, as we've mentioned, was the Tyee Chinook salmon. What is your understanding of like the significance of the Tyee?
Yeah, I covered it a decent amount when I was like 15 or 16 years old, when I was working for CRTV and then Shaw. So my memory has faded me quite a bit since then. But from what I know, the significance is, like you mentioned, a very specific breed of salmon, 30 pounds and above, has to be caught on a certain type of boat that I believe can be motorized. You have to have a certain kind of line, a certain kind of lure, a certain kind of bait. The boat, I think, has to be a certain way and a certain size. Like I said, the OCD pill on like making this so specific is so it's very, and it's quite I would say a prestigious club, because you only get into the club until you've caught one. And there's people that have gone out there and first time catch it, boom, they're done, they're in the club. And there's people that have been working on it for, when I was doing a story back then, it was like 30, 40 years, they've been trying to get a Tyee, and they just, get mad when some tourist who's never picked up a fishing rod comes in and gets it, and like, what am I doing wrong, right? So yeah, those are some good interviews. So that's what I generally know about what that is and why it's so special, significance wise. Whether it's on an Indigenous level or anything else, I'm not too sure, to be honest.
No, that totally answers my question. And yeah, you're right. So it has to be a Chinook salmon over 30 pounds. Originally, this is the Tyee catch.
Yeah.
But things got really freaking crazy because of how popular this spot was. So crazy that in 1924, the Tyee Club of British Columbia was established. And they were this was the first instance of them setting up a list of rules to regulate and protect the sport so that not just everyone could get significant fish or whatever it was. And these rules are still adhered to today, and they only keep getting more and more like just diligent, like just so nitpicky. And I'm getting the impression you are not a member, sadly.
I'm not a member, yeah.
Is this something you would ever try to do though? Like, or would it be like only if it was an accident?
I think accident, because I'm a guy of action and I need results. Like, if I'm going out, I'm not going for one salmon. I'm going for the salmon I could catch that I could cut and put on my table, being a hunter myself too. I think it's like fly fishing as a sport and not keeping the salmon. For me, that doesn't interest me. It's probably a bit of my indigeneity coming through there, that it's more of a hunter gathering instinct for me to just get it and go. So I don't know. Would you spend the time doing that? Like, no, I'm going to go out for 10 days. That's why I'm the
peer girly. Give me the ice cream so I can just vibe and like hang out with my friends.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I like that vibe too. I go out with my dad in our boat, but I'm perfectly happy going on the pier as well too. So.
Oh, I am happy to be in a canoe though. I'm a big canoe girly, but I don't know if ice cream is the deal maker for me. Like as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I'm in easily.
Yeah. I don't think you're even allowed ice cream on a Tyee fishing trip. I think you'd probably lose. You could catch a 50-pounder, but but he had ice cream in his left hand. It's either in his right hand or it has to be eaten before he leaves. So you're not in the club or something stupid like that.
Yeah. Okay, this is the perfect segue. So I found this quote describing Tyee fishing from the Campbell River website.
Yeah.
And this is what it says, because I couldn't even like reiterate it. It's so specific. I just have to read it word for word.
Yeah.
So it says, quote, "You'll fish quietly in small classic rowboats as no motors are allowed in the Tyee pool. The rower will slip the boat into the currents and the eddies of the pool, keeping a basic plug or spoon beating in the current. The angler must stay focused on the action of the lure, as it is felt in the hand as much as it is seen by the beating of the rod tip. With the slightest change in the beat, the hook must be set fast and hard. The battle between the Pacific Chinook salmon is on, and anything can happen." This is highly romanticized.
I was going to say, are you reading some kind of like really like racy novel? With
it almost
like a
does
Fabio
sound
cover
sexual.
on the front?
Yeah. It sounds pretty, and like the question I had teed up for you here was, Tchadas, as a fisherman, did that give you chills?
No, it didn't. Oh, God. I mean, maybe chills of uncomfortableness. Like, I'm like, ooh. Like, if that's the chill you're asking about, then 100%, but not the excitement.
So glad I could provide that to you.
Exactly. Oh, my God. But anyway.
So it's funny you actually mentioned the other the specifics of like how you can catch a fish. I actually had removed that part from my area of talking about this because I was like, I feel like this is too specific and like maybe it doesn't matter, but it seems to be like a huge thing, because I noticed in one of the titles that had come up, it was like, you have to have this kind of line and this kind of lure. And like, it got more and more complicated as time went on.
Oh, yeah.
And so it seems complex and like elitist almost. So I looked up famous members to see like how illustrious being a member of this club is. And believe it or not, there are no celebrities who are part of the club. I figured like Matthew McConaughey at least.
Yeah, like it's one of those outdoorsy guys.
Like I can just imagine him like standing on or being in the boat being like, yep. Or I feel like he's the guy who could sit in a boat for hours on end.
This is a nice Tyee. Look at this one right here.
Look at this
really
one.
Lustrous.
You probably catch like a 60-pound one. I think he's just never tried.
Yeah, look at this shine and how I feel so connected to nature. I've never tried McConaughey before. I'm giving myself a 6 out of 10.
I would give yourself an 8 out of 10. That was great. But so Tyee Club visitors, though, have included John Wayne, Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and Whoopi Goldberg. So the Tyee Club, like, it's prestigious, but not so much that there are like celebrities in it. Like, I guess you can kind of pay to win, but at the end of the day, like you said, like a 35-year Tyee vet still hasn't caught one. It really comes down to luck and like the universe having your back, I guess,
and just,
in some capacity.
And also focusing on the rod and feeling it and the poetic weird thing.
It's a spiritual experience. Yeah. So the Tyee Club sadly has sort of like not deteriorated, but it's not like as hoity-toity as it used to be. It was once more of like an international club, and now it's more of a community club. It's run by volunteers. It's always been pretty low-key, but it's like very, very low-key now. In 2024, the club celebrated 100 years of existence. Wow. But I want you to take a wild guess at one of the issues that they're facing.
One of the issues that they're facing is that they're probably having people come over, and as soon as they say they have to row out into the water, they're like, I'm out. Are you kidding me? I'll just go on. I already spent $10,000 getting here. I'll just go down to the resort and pay another 10 and have a motor. Sorry, I'm obviously amusing you, but I don't know. Okay, I feel like I'm on the debaters, and I'm just making up joke responses because I don't actually know.
I just feel like you're very anti Tyee is what's coming across to me.
No, and I want to say on the record before I get canceled that I am not anti Tyee. I just don't have the patience, so I make fun of it because I have nothing else to do. But I mean, I do. But okay.
So the issue is that like salmon is like not as easy to come by anymore.
This is true. Yeah.
Wonder what happens when humans like overdo it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Here's a quote from an article that a member of the Tyee Club made in the Vancouver Sun, which is surprising. I wouldn't expect the Sun to be covering sustainability.
Yeah.
But this is what the guy said. He said, as fishing times have changed and global economies changed, more and more the mix of the Tyee Club is 90 to 95% locals that keep the club afloat, and there is less and less fish to be caught. So is the Tyee Club like a case study of sort of like a lesson to be learned here? And if there's a lesson, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so complex, but I mean, obviously the lesson is, in my opinion, would be the overindulgence of destroying Mother Earth and taking more than what we need. And, as Indigenous people, we made sure that we always took only what we needed and made sure that we were leaving enough behind, for the next generation, for the next hunter that came the next season. We even have records of like hunting sheds, and when we would go hunting, even though we would take all the meat, but we'd also leave some behind for the next person. And we didn't take all of it, even if it wasn't Mother Nature, we were leaving it for other people. So, that I think in itself, if we can kind of realize what we did, and if we can get back to just taking what we need, I think obviously that's going to help. But that, at the same time, that really has implications for people that make a living, off of, being fishermen or fisherwomen or however they identify, to go out in the water and catch that for their family or for whatever. And, then here being on the West Coast as well, too, we have the whole conversation of fish farms and there was a ban for them to get out, and then the ban got extended, and so now they're still in the water. So, the whole conversation over sea license, sort of what they could potentially do or have done, to the wild salmon run. You can notice I'm being very careful because I am a journalist, so I'm trying to keep my head on straight here. I think that is another aspect of this whole, cycle that's running through the water of like, how do we manage this? And obviously the Tyee Club is, you're trying to get a specific salmon, and when there was lots of them, it was great. But now you just have such little Chinook in the area by the sounds of it. Yeah, the club's gonna struggle. So maybe they should add more fish. Again, not hating on it. I'm just saying maybe they can,
Yeah, maybe loosen the restrictions a little bit if you want more members.
Yeah, if you catch a lingcod and like his tail is broken, then you're in. I don't know.
If you save an animal that's stuck in a fishing net, you're in.
You're in. Thai Club, you're in. Yeah.
I love this. A rebrand
Yeah.
for the Tyee Club.
Rebrand. I'm
The
sure
lesson
they would
here,
hate that.
the lesson here I'm taking as a really shitty segue is don't mess with nature. All this to say, I'm excited that I am this season doing more Western Canada representation. I consider myself an outdoorsy person. And then the more I've uncovered about Western Canada, I have to say I'm actually surprised I didn't end up living there because it's just an outdoorsy person's paradise. How outdoorsy would you consider yourself to be?
Yeah, I would say I'm used to be a lot more outdoorsy before I became a journalist and podcaster and documentary and all the stuff I do because, a lot of my job requires for me to be indoors. I still go out. So I'm used to be fairly outdoorsy, but now I really cherish it. And I find that I really go outside with a purpose on my time off, whether it's a walk with my wife and my son or with the dog, or, I like to hunt. So hunting feels right. It feels for me that I can provide for my family. I can go out in nature, do forest bathing, as you mentioned earlier, ground myself, take my shoes off, put my feet on the ground and really try and connect with the earth a bit. So I find myself outdoorsy with purpose when I have the time. But do I wish I had more time for it? Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
But I do it all year round too. Like I like going outside in the winter. I like the snow. I like the rain. So I think also you got to like those elements. There's being outdoorsy, but being outdoorsy where, right? So
Great question.
Exactly, right? Like anybody can say I'm outdoorsy, but I live in Mexico all year round. That's like
this is a question, an especially important question, I think, for the contestants of that show, Naked and Afraid, where they're like,
100%.
"Oh yeah, I've been hunting in northern Canada my whole life," and then they're put in like Africa in the middle of nowhere, and then they
for sure
can't make it at all.
In Canada, we don't have a lot of things that can like bite us and. Like a lot of insects that we got to worry about in our shoes. And then you go to like, another place in the world and it's like, oh, you just step on one wrong thing and you're in the hospital.
Yes. Outdoorsy, but outdoorsy where? Okay, so other than humans destroying the ecosystem of salmon, Tchadas, what would you say are some other predators kicking around Campbell River?
Ooh, okay. I feel like this is a trick question because you got some kind of cool.
It's not. It's a leading question.
It's a leading question.
A leading
okay,
question.
Cool. I appreciate the education on that. I'll just say I've seen cougars around.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the bar. I'm talking about the animals. So I've seen cougars. I've seen lots of black bears. There has been rumors of grizzly bears swimming from the mainland to the island. Don't know if that's true or not, but. Yeah, so I'd say those are some predators. Humans, we mentioned, obviously, like humans, murdering, taking too much fish. Sorry, murdering, that was harsh. But taking too much fish out of the water. No, I don't. Just regular animal predators. What do you got?
Okay, well, the rumors are true, Tchadas. There have been grizzlies spotted in the area.
Okay.
And I have a story to share with you.
I like it.
Okay. So, 2019. One man, Colin Dowler, has a crazy and nearly fatal encounter while he's staying at a Campbell River logging camp. So Colin goes out for a trail ride on his bike alone, as you do in Campbell River.
Yeah, because you're going outdoors alone. Why would you go with friends?
Yeah, outdoors alone. And he gets about 7 kilometers from camp until he comes across what conservation officers at the time described as a healthy 350-pound 4 to 5-year-old male grizzly bear.
Yep.
What does he do in this moment?
He pulls out his pot of honey and he puts it on the ground and he runs away. I don't know. This story...
Like, what does a person do?
I mean, you would probably want to, like, turn your bike around and try and bike away from it, maybe.
Okay, so you bike
does
away
he have
from
a
a
bell?
grizzly
Like,
bear?
go ding, 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 and scare him? I don't know.
So are grizzlies like, because you're a hunter, I'm assuming you know bears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do grizzlies like run away from sound like black bears do? Or like, what do you know about grizzlies?
I mean, I've only hunted for black bears. I've never successfully got one, and you can't hunt grizzly bears. So I'm not sure what their characteristics are like, but
Interesting.
I would maybe time of year, maybe if they're ready for hibernation or not could really determine how aggressive they may or may not be. But I'm kind of curious if this one did something weird.
So you're saying hop on the bike as fast as you possibly can.
Yes, and make noise and go ding, 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 ding. If you had an e-bike, even better.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Colin doesn't have any time to do that because the grizzly somehow grabs him by the stomach, like almost immediately, pushes him to the ground and drags him toward a ditch about 50 feet.
Wow.
Colin later said, talking about this experience, that he doesn't remember the grizzly ever growling. It just was drooling and grabbed him.
Yeah.
And then so the bear drags him to this ditch and then just lays down beside him and starts chewing on his leg. I'm just going to take a second to confirm that the movie The Revenant actually came out in 2015, 4 years prior to this. Okay. So the scene in that movie is not at all based on this attack.
Okay, just for the people listening, this is not a Hollywood.
Just in case it sounded familiar, this happened in real life 4 years later. The grizzly maybe saw the movie and was like, "Listen, that was sick." So
I'm doing that.
So the only thing Colin has on him in this moment is a 2-inch pocket knife, but he can barely reach that because of just the sheer amount of pain that he is in with this bear gnawing on his leg. Yeah. He can literally hear the bear like gnawing on his bones.
Oh my God.
Tchadas, you have a wife and son. Yeah. Colin has a wife and daughter. Yeah. If this is you, what are you doing in this moment?
I'm like doing something with the pocket knife because I know if I'm going to do something with the pocket knife, I'm gonna rage him up even more. But I don't want him chewing my leg, so I don't know what. And
he's just sitting there gently eating at your leg, like he could move on to the second leg. He could move on to an arm, and you're just in so much pain.
You just got to do something like flight or fight, and like adrenaline. Something's going to kick in. I would probably grab the knife, maybe. I don't know, maybe try and cut his face up or in the throat somewhere that would,
I think this is a more existential question for you, Tchadas.
Yeah.
Are you going to fight, flight, or freeze?
Ooh, because I know sometimes if you play dead, that it's like being a scenario, I think, in some cases. But if he's still chewing on you, that doesn't do anything. I think I'm gonna try and fight and then run away at that point.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so Colin tries to play dead. It doesn't work, as you've mentioned. He thinks of his family, and by some miracle, just like pure love in his heart, he musters the gumption to pull both of his hands under the bear, kind of like lift it up, grab the pocket knife, open it, stab the bear in the neck. And that's when the bear backs away.
Yeah.
Now what?
The bear backs away. If the bear backs away, my leg's chewed up. I don't know. What do you do? Wait for help? Is there cell signal? Can he move? Does he have to get the bear out and sleep in the bear overnight for warmth? Like, what does he do?
That's very Star Wars of you.
I was going to say, is that a Star Wars thing I just pulled out there?
Totally.
I'm not that much of a fan, so I'm like, I think that's a Star Wars reference.
So Colin and the bear basically have a standoff. They have a standoff for like a number of minutes, just like staring at each other in the eye. Both are bleeding profusely. Colin's not sure if he's bleeding more or the bear is bleeding more. Eventually the bear is just like, bro, I'm out. And he just turns around and walks away. Colin's like, this is the moment I need to get the heck out of here. Yeah. So he notices his bike. Yeah. And he's like, that's my way out, obviously. He takes his pocket knife, he rips off a piece of his shirt, ties it around his leg as like his own little like tourniquet. And he manages to hop on the bike and bike 7K all the way back to his camp where he eventually finds people who know first aid and help him to safety. Wow. Yeah. that is a crazy story. Grizzlies do exist in Campbell River.
Oh man, he should be the mayor of Campbell River now. That's what it sounds like. If he can protect himself, he can protect all of us. My God, I know I was making jokes. I was hoping this would end in a good way. Otherwise, that would look bad.
Tchadas,
Wow.
I don't want to be an asshole, but it's kind of the direction he's gone. So now he is a motivational speaker.
Hey, there you go.
despite sustaining numerous life-threatening injuries, he is still alive today.
Wow.
At the time of the attack, he counted about 60 holes in his body from the bear. And yeah, just in January of 2024, he shared his bear attack survival story with the University of Lethbridge students. He's run a half marathon. He renewed his focus in the outdoors to mountaineering, and he's done 30 summits since the attack and counting. And now he is just sharing the lesson of perseverance, I guess, because surviving a grizzly attack is all a matter of mindset now, isn't it?
Wow. And next time, hopefully he's going out with bear spray now and a bigger knife, I hope. But
or friends.
God. Or friends.
Just not alone.
Yeah, come on, Campbell River. Go outside with friends.
This is what I'm saying. I think personally the lesson here is not a lesson of perseverance. It's stranger danger, always have a buddy system. Campbell River, it's time to update the buddy system.
Yes. Okay. This will turn into a thread on Reddit too. This will be great.
Tchadas, you've brought me a juicy story about your hometown. I don't know if you made it up, if it's something you heard through the grapevine, or if it's completely real. I'm going to guess at the end. So please go ahead, spill your hometown tea.
Okay, so mine isn't as elaborate, I would say, as yours, and it's a little bit shorter, but
that's okay.
I'm going to tell you this story. Being on the Georgia Strait, there is this, lots of waterways, lots of fishing. And, back in the day, there was not even really that great of a road, if any. So one of the ways you get to Campbell is by boat, right? So, have you heard of like vaudeville stuff like that, kind of like entertainment? Yeah. So, vaudeville, obviously being pretty popular type of a thing in the early 1900s, across the continent. So, lo and behold, there's this kind of like vaudeville troupe that's kind of like touring around BC and Vancouver Island. So they hop onto this boat. It's like the early 1900s. We're talking anywhere between 1910 and 1915. And they're going, to Campbell River to perform. It's kind of, kind of like a early drag kind of entertainment kind of thing, as long as they're able to like
cabaret. Usually there's
obviously a lot of males that were dressing up like this, but it's like a Ed Sullivan show, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very variety based and entertaining, and if any of those gentlemen could like hold the crowd's attention for 3 minutes, then they'd have a job, right? So anyways, they're going and all of a sudden the ship hits the shore, and then the ship basically half sinks on the shore. On a rock bed, not on the shore. My apologies.
Yep.
So they get out the lifeboat, and they manage to get to a lighthouse just across from Campbell River on Quadra Island, and they lost. They basically they said all the cargo and everything was lost. But they're okay. So the story was that they're okay. And then what had happened is they just go off, they're fine. They survive. They get back to Vancouver. Life goes on. And then over time, the community just starts noticing these like suitcases, silly ones. And they're like really weird looking and have all this interesting artwork on it and like all this silly stuff. And obviously a lot of decor and clothing and like Carrot Top, opening a box and you don't know what's going to be in it, right? And apparently, so a lot of Campbell Riverites just were finding this on the shore, and then they ended up just like parading around and kind of just walking around parading the clothes and drinking and and they just kind of grabbed all these items. And now there's stories of people saying maybe you should look in your grandparents' closet. Maybe they have these old pieces of historic clothing from this vaudeville comedian troupe that sunk off the coast of Campbell River. So anyways, I thought that was pretty cool story of something that happened in Campbell River back in the early 1900s.
That is really cool. Have you asked any of your friends and family if they have any little pieces?
No, I've asked a couple friends in Campbell River if they've heard of this story before, and they said no. I haven't. Like, that's the thing, is you go into museums and you kind of feel like you're going to see everything, but you don't. There's so many cool, interesting stories that are out there that haven't been told yet. And I thought this one was a pretty cool story, but nobody's kind of responded back saying, "Oh yeah, for sure," because it was so long ago, right? And such a specific little, bite of history, right? So,
I will say, finding stuff on shore, opening the boxes, figuring out what's inside, very human quality. We're all going to do that in some
100%.
capacity. Unless it looks like deeply sketch, but I think if it was a curious kind of box, I would open it.
Yeah.
Now, putting on the clothes, parading them around town, that to me doesn't sound very Campbell River of them. And that to me is the red flag in the story here.
Yeah.
I feel like you threw in a dart and were like, people took the stuff and brought them home, but you added the paraded around town part. Am I wrong?
No, I did not add the parading around town part.
So is the whole story?
Yeah, the whole story is true based on a couple sources that I found online here, and I actually just pulled up one of the articles here, and it said, so when these suitcases of fancy, sometimes ridiculous outfits started turning up on island beaches, they became the talk and eventually community closet of the towns. It said after the items washed up on shore, local loggers and townswomen partied through the streets, parading their fantastical vaudeville finery. In the remote island town in 1910, it's safe to assume it was the most colorful party of the year. So,
such a fun story. What a cool, interesting piece of history.
Yeah,
also,
really
I will say, I think it falls into the creativeness that you said Campbell Riverites. Riverites?
Yep, Campbell Riverites. Yep, exactly. There's one other thing, too. I missed it when I was looking at this, too. And it said in 1967, two divers, Fred Rogers and Ed Seaton, went on a mission to find what was left of the wreckage. And they found remnants of ornamental brass door handles, hinges, portholes, lamp holders, and such, but did not find the mystery luggage. But anyways, interesting.
Wow. That is a really cool story. Thank you for finding that and bringing it. I am very pleased.
Especially being a journalist.
Oh, of course. He says as he sips his mug.
Yeah.
Very slick. Tchadas, thank you so much for coming on Canardian. Where can people find you and support all of your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Katie. Before I tell you that, I first want to say that this is the very first podcast that I've done that it wasn't really talking about myself and what I do, and that's important. But this was the first time I've really had an opportunity to just be myself, and it's really hard. It's really hard, and not that I wasn't before, but really just let my personality come across. Being a journalist, it's we spend a lot of time making sure that we're walking the line of neutrality, and I still think I did that a bit today. But it was nice to kind of just be a little bit more open and fun and silly, and try and do that in a way where I'm not swearing, which I think I managed not to do.
I think you did manage that. I don't think I caught a single swear word out of you.
I will say today.
Normally you're a journalist. You don't normally get to test out your Matthew McConaughey impressions. So I'm glad you got a chance to do that.
Yeah, me too. But thanks so much. But to answer your question, yes, if people want to find me, the best way is to do it on my website, which is www.tchadasleo.ca, which is TCHADAS.leo.ca. And on that main page, there is a little pop-up with all my social media tabs there for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social verses that I can't keep track of that I had somebody help me with. But TchadasLeo.ca is where you can find me.
And I'm Katie Lohr. You can find me through all the links in the show notes, and I'll include all of Tchadas' links there too. And make sure you subscribe to my newsletter, Pod the North. The Canardian theme song is by my very talented partner, Mark Allen, with support from his own hometown buddies, People Like Us. And if you liked this podcast or you know someone from Campbell River, please make sure you share it with that friend or somewhere on social media, wherever they might see it. Otherwise, see you around town.